Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to take some images from the HABS website and transition those into a three-dimensional model in SketchUp. So first we want to come to the Historic American Building Survey HABS website and we want to type in the project that we want to find. I've already done some research and found out that this is a good site that I want to check out and use for this project. So when I go look up the project, one of the reasons it makes this a good selection is that it has a number of drawings available. I'm going to need to download these drawings in order to import those into SketchUp. So I'm going to download the elevations that are available, and you see there's a couple different options up here to download them. The highest quality JPEG should be enough for what we're doing. So I just click on that. Save image to downloads, and I'm going to do this for a couple of the other drawings. For the sake of this project, I'm not going to bring in every single drawing. I'm just going to show you the basics of it. I'm also going to show you that we've got some different plans here. So this is the ground story in the basement. We're going to want to save that, and we're also going to want to save an upper level plan. Okay? And you can see these are some pretty detailed drawings. They have measurements on them, and we might want to keep this page bookmarked so we can always come back if we need to get a higher quality image. All right, so we'll save this to downloads. Just remember where you save things. And as I mentioned, leave this page open for now. It'll make things a lot easier. For this particular project, we're not doing an interior. So unless you need the profile of your building, you don't necessarily need to save a section and model the interior of the structure. So don't really worry about that right now. All right, now that we have our downloaded drawings, we're going to open up SketchUp. We're going to get rid of our little man here. We don't really need him. We're going to make sure that we go under the window tool and turn on layers, because keeping this drawing organized is going to be really important to making this work. Next, we're going to go to File, and we're going to import those drawings. So the first one is probably the basement plan is the easiest thing to import. And you'll see that it gives us a point. I'm going to stick it just at the point of origin. And this is letting me do a free scale of the actual plan. So I'm just going to set this at a random scale right now. And then we can go in and do a detailed version. So now you notice I can actually zoom into that plan. It's a little bit blurry, but we get the basics. So that's enough for us to know. And what is most important is this little dimension here. And if I needed to go back to the website and see a higher quality version of it, we can just click on the TIFF button and we can zoom in pretty nicely and see that that says 60 feet 5 1/4 inches. All right. For the sake of this project, or actually we can see from right here it says 60 feet and 4 inches. We're going to use that dimension. So here we go. Zoom over to the right area. So it tells us 60 feet 4 inches. That's going to be our unit to scale it if we want to actually scale this drawing. So in this drawing right now, if we just use our dimensioning tool and just do a quick line, we can see that that's about, let's say, 12 feet and 7 inches. So I'm going to use a feet and inches calculator. I have one on my smartphone, which is pretty handy. You can find ones online. And so I'm going to do a quick calculation here to figure out what my scale ratio needs to be. If I'm moving from this line, and if you forget what that dimension was, don't worry about it. You can always go back and use the measurement tool and do that. So about 12 feet 7 inches, and we know in real life that's 60 feet 4 inches. So if we do our calculation, we'll see that that's a scale factor of about 4.8. 4.8 if we round up. So we're going to go in and scale this whole drawing. Let's get rid of our lines first, by 4.8. And the way that we do that, is we select the drawing, and we go to our scale tool up here, and you'll notice I can do a free scale, but there's also a number in the very bottom here, and so I'm just going to type in 4.8 there, and that automatically scales it by that scale factor that we figured out. So now if we go back and measure this, actually just draw a dummy line, we'll see that we're pretty close. So that's as long as it's within the ballpark, that's good. All right. So you also want to write down that scale factor, that 4.8, because that means that we're going to have to do that scale factor for every single drawing that we import. Now if we look at our layers tab, I'm going to make sure that I put this on its own layer. And actually I don't need a bunch of the information that's on here, so I'm going to actually explode this, which means that I can now edit this drawing, and I'm going to draw some simple lines in here to basically kind of crop this image to the things that I want, which is really just that. So now if I hit delete, I can get rid of all this other stuff. It's not really that useful. So I'll double click so I make sure I have both the interior and all the lines. So if I double click, that allows me to do that. And I'm going to move it to a new layer, and I'm going to call that layer Plan Basement. Okay. Now to make sure that something is on a layer, you're going to actually highlight it, and you'll see that it's still showing it's on this layer 0. So if I highlight the whole thing and I take it to Plan Basement, suddenly when I turn it off, oh, that didn't work, right? So what we'll do here, we can select the different properties of this, and we can tell it which layer to go on, or it tells us the area, which is kind of nice if you ever needed to figure that out. So there's some really interesting opportunities here of where you can move stuff. Okay. So if we go to Entity Info, that's going to tell us what layer it's on. We're going to move it to Plan Basement. And now, if you notice, when we turn Plan Basement off, that goes away. And I'm actually going to group this again, because we always want this drawing to live together. Okay. All right. So let's do that for the other drawings quickly.